Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and I make faith, lifestyle, and a little bit of business content. I post every Sunday, so if you would like to find the balance between having a Christian based lifestyle and becoming the woman God intended you to be, I'd love to have you stick around. So, today's episode, I want to talk about how to make your dreams practical. How do you make all the thing that's in your head like become real life? And I want to start off by reading this quote, and it says, "What you are is God's gift to you. What you become is your gift to God." So, in thinking about this quote, my mind goes a few different ways. I'll first start in Genesis. I'll put this scripture up here, but it says, "Let us make man in our own image, in our likeness," right? So, God intended us to be reflective of his character, right? And all throughout the Bible, it gives examples and scenarios of how we are to be like Christ. What kind of character are we supposed to display, whether we're women, men, business women, whomever we are. The framework of what should be a part of our character is there, and that's the number one key to being successful, to making your dreams a reality, is making sure that you're in alignment with his character. So the first point I will say is set clear goals. You have to set clear goals, because if your goals are just jumbled up, you don't have any expectations, you don't have any mappings of how you're going to get from A to Z, they're just going to be goals on a paper. And because you're going to be confused at what you're looking at, so you don't know how to get to there. So today I want to help you kind of set or create a framework to set those realistic goals for yourself. So, one, I would say first, classify your goals in two categories, one being short term and the other one being long term goals. Um, Short term, what you want to accomplish within the next year or two, long term, the next 3 to 5 years. Something that you can utilize to kind of break down these short and long term goals is the SMART method. And that's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. These goals can help you bridge the gap between, again, dreams and practicality, because, you are specific, you are being realistic, and like, for example, I'm a visionary. So I a lot of times think of the big ideas, like, oh my goodness, I want to do this, I want to create this, I want to establish this. And my mind's always thinking about those things. However, sometimes I miss the smaller details, and the small details help you get to the big things. The small details help you, or the small wins, just like, when you are trying to be or practice gratitude, acknowledging the small wins and not just going through it until you get to the end helps you appreciate the big milestones. When you set those specific, smaller attainable goals, you'll eventually find yourself like, the bigger goal is really reasonable now because I've done all of the small work. The second thing I want you to do is create a realistic plan. So outline the steps to create an action plan to achieve those goals. Emphasize the need for flexibility and adaptability in the plan to accommodate unexpected changes. So something I do in my personal life, like on a week-to-week basis, when I am just mapping out what I need to accomplish for that week, sometimes, again, we set out all these things that we need to accomplish without realizing that life happens, or, I may go through something or experience something, and because of how I'm feeling, I may just discard that whole list and say I'm gonna try again next week. Versus something I do now is I include like a plan B in my goal setting for a week. And that plan B allows me to still touch on everything that's listed, but just in a more moderate way. making it practical for me. I still walk away from the week feeling a little bit accomplished, and, just grateful that I made progress and I didn't remain stagnant, right? That's another video in itself on, you know, figuring out how to find balance in just regulating your emotions and still getting things done. I think that's a key thing about being an adult. Things still have to get done. And although, like, you feel a certain type of way or something happened that just kind of threw you for a loop, you have to figure out how to get yourself back on track and keep pushing forward. Or the last point I would say is prioritize and make sacrifices. I know we've all heard the saying, or people say, have you got your priorities in check? Or, do you even know what your priorities are? So I would say identify what those priorities in life, and then to like realize that if you have a goal that you're trying to accomplish, whether that's getting a new car or becoming more emotionally stable or weight loss goals, which that's something I'm trying to do too. You have to realize, okay, I now need to shift my perspective or mindset that I'm going to have to make a lot of sacrifices to get where I want to go. And so, yeah, mindset is so critically important in this. So the first thing I would say is, prioritizing tasks and dreams based on their feasibility, right? Put together what you want to do, how you want to get it done as it makes sense to you and your life. I love that social media is a place where you can go and get ideas and, like just figure out or have gauge a framework of how to do something, but make it make sense for you, right? It's sometimes we'll see the ideas and we'll want to do it just like them, but that's for their life. Take what you see and make it yours, right? Personalize it. And then the other thing I would add to that is, again, touching on the sacrifices. Like, for example, like my birthday is in March. I'm trying to do a photo shoot in February or take pictures in February because I haven't taken pictures in a long, long time. And so I feel like, that's something I want to do to highlight the moment. And it's a milestone birthday. So, mind you, I'm shooting this or recording this in January. And I am currently trying to make sure by February I reach my goal so that, my pictures turn out how I want them to look. So that's going to cause me to be sacrificial in a lot of places. Not eating out, eating healthier, managing like my time so that I can get to the gym. I can make sure I'm, do it in a time frame where, I can kind of balance work, all the things. So I'm in this season, I'm having to sacrifice a lot because I want to make sure that I reach that goal. So make sure that, above all things, when you are setting out these goals, that you are putting yourself in a mindset or a mind shift that you're going to have to sacrifice some things. You may not be able to go out all the time. Like if your goal is to save a certain amount of money, right? You really are going to have to be mindful of what you do on a day-to-day basis. Like we all know, if we leave the house and we go somewhere, it's easy to spend $50, easy to spend $100, right? That we probably don't have. So if saving goal is a priority for you, you need to take time to stop, maybe look at your finances for the month and what you spent, look at what you're bringing in, create a budget for yourself, cut out all the excess expenses, refer to different maybe financial channels on YouTube that can kind of help you, again, get an idea of a framework that you can use and apply for yourself. So again, today's goal was to just highlight how can you make your dreams practical. And the starting point I shared is that what God, let me read the quote again so I don't mess it up. What you are is God's gift to you. What you become is your gift to God. And so, in closing, I'll bring up the parable regarding the talents. And so, in the parable, each person was given a particular talent. Talent back then was a certain amount of money, right? And so they were given that money with the goal to go out and multiply it and bring it back, in hopes that they had made some kind of investment, right? Based on the efforts that they used from what they were given. We know one, he went out, made a whole lot of money. The second one went out and made progress as well. But the third one hid it because he was scared. He was nervous. He did not want to, he was afraid he was going to lose it. And in a sense, the person that gave him the talent was very disappointed in him because he said, "That's not what I told you to do. I told you to go out, and use what I've given you, and then bring me back, what you've gotten." And so that's the same thing with our personal lives. God has all given us specific talents, gifts, abilities. He has rewarded us above everything. And we have to realize that everything that we get, down to the money that comes into our pocket, is supposed to, in some way, go back to God. The time that He gives us, it's supposed to go back to God. The gifts, the abilities that He gives us, however He rewards us, it's supposed to go back to Him. And so I just wanted to show you how can you still make what you want real life, but just remember that what you bring in is supposed to in some way go back to God. So make your dreams practical by setting realistic goals, right? Setting those clear goals, put a realistic action plan in place, and then prioritize and make sacrifices. So I hope this video was helpful to you. Once I started applying these 3 things into my own life, I definitely have gotten clarity, understanding, and it's just helped me to be a better person. It's helped me to be sharper in, just different aspects of my life. So I hope this was helpful to you. Please be sure to drop a comment on other video ideas that you would like for me to present. And let me know if you found that this video was helpful to you. In the meantime, thank you for tuning in to Simply Sarah, How to Make Your Dreams Practical. And I'll see you on the next one.